A man wakes up with no memory and enhanced abilities, discovering a conspiracy to create super soldiers using his memories. With a deceitful woman claiming to be his wife and an army of enemies, he fights to uncover the truth. Watch till the end to uncover what is going to happen. The movie begins with a flashback. A young boy named Henry is being harassed by bullies until his father arrives and chases them away. He then turns back to Henry and insults him for being scared. The scene shifts abruptly to the present, where Henry wakes up in a water-filled chamber within a peculiar laboratory. He is disoriented and has no memory of how he got there. A woman named Estelle helps to drain the chamber, and as the water recedes, Henry is shocked to discover that his left arm below the elbow and his leg below the knee are missing. Estelle informs him that he is temporarily unable to speak. She scans him and reveals that he has lost his eyes and now relies on a video feed for vision. A robotic voice confirms the functionality of the video link. Estelle then attaches a mechanical arm to Henry, securing it firmly. To test its strength, she places an apple in his new hand, and Henry accidentally crushes it due to the arm's immense power. While she works on his leg, Estelle covers his hand with synthetic skin. She then drops a startling revelation. She is his wife, although he may not remember her. She hands him their wedding ring and expresses her love for him.
You and I were husband and wife.
Moving into the adjacent room, they encounter two technicians experimenting with voice technology. The techs tease Henry, joking about choosing from a selection of famous voices. Suddenly, alarms begin blaring, signaling a significant security breach. The door explodes, instantly killing one of the techs. Russian soldiers flood into the room, followed by a man named Akin, who surveys the chaotic scene. Akin's ambition is clear. He desires an army of super soldiers, just like Henry. As soon as he got in, he asked about Henry.
Henry, right?
When Akin inquires about Henry's condition before his transformation, the remaining tech explains the severe damage Henry had sustained, especially to his face. Estelle proudly demonstrates Henry's newly enhanced abilities, showcasing her work. Akin then uses his powers to levitate and kill the tech. Seizing the moment, Estelle plays loud music to disorient the soldiers, allowing them to make their escape. They crawl through ventilation shafts and emerge in a cold room filled with corpses. Estelle warns Henry that Akin is after her research to create soulless warriors. They discover an escape pod with only one remaining. Although Estelle intends for Henry to escape alone, he insists she comes with him. They depart the airborne lab, but their parachute deploys too late, causing them to crash onto a bridge. Henry struggled violently as mercenaries restrained him, but his resistance was interrupted when another group arrived. Their leader, wielding a taser, incapacitated Henry, causing him to fall off the bridge and land on a car below. Disoriented but determined, Henry managed to evade the mercenaries. He witnessed one of them shooting a nearby guard before sneaking into a large metal container, where he armed himself with a metal piece from a car. When a mercenary entered the container, Henry overpowered him, seizing his weapon. Attempting to drive a car out of the container, Henry was thwarted by an Akin's Corporation vehicle that collided with him. The chaos intensified as another vehicle crashed onto the scene. A man in a clean shirt emerged, skillfully dispatching the remaining mercenaries. Introducing himself as Jimmy, he assessed Henry's condition and realized he could still speak, urging him to follow. Jimmy directed Henry to check the glove box, revealing a device indicating Henry's battery was dangerously low.
So, your name's Henry.
With a plan to bring Henry to his workshop, Jimmy reassured him that he had 20 to 30 minutes of battery life left. However, their escape was cut short when disguised mercenaries posing as police intercepted them and opened fire. Jimmy was hit, causing their vehicle to crash.
Paying off the...
Henry fled on foot, eventually seeking refuge underground and changing clothes in a shop. Despite his efforts to remain inconspicuous, a disguised cop spotted and confronted him. A fierce fight ensued, ending with Henry defeating the cop and escaping to a bus. On the bus, a man posing as a beggar sat across from Henry and revealed himself to be another version of Jimmy. He handed Henry a phone with a map, instructing him to locate Dmitri, one of Akin's operatives, and extract his charging device. Jimmy pointed out a man in a strange jacket outside the bus, indicating him as a target. Approaching the man, Henry was met with a blast of fire from a flamethrower. Henry quickly exited the bus, borrowing water from a nearby couple to extinguish his burning clothes. Fleeing from the flamethrower-wielding man, he entered a park where he took clothes from some revelers. A brief confrontation arose, but Henry managed to resolve it without further violence. Henry arrives at Dimitri's place and skillfully sneaks inside, evading the guards with his agility. However, an encounter in the elevator with a thug and his backup forces Henry to use one of them as a shield while taking out the others. Inside Dimitri's apartment, Henry discovers an intricate tech setup and sees Dimitri seemingly frozen in place. Estelle's video call warns Henry of Akin's plans for an army, but before she can elaborate, Dimitri springs to life, initiating a fierce shootout. Dimitri escapes by leaping out of a window, leading to a high-stakes chase through the city. As they run across the cityscape, Dimitri taunts Henry about his half-human, half-machine nature, provoking him. The pursuit becomes increasingly intense until Henry cleverly uses a champagne bottle from a cafe to incapacitate Dimitri. Just as Dimitri is about to reveal crucial information, he is abruptly silenced by a surprise gunshot. New adversaries appear, but Henry manages to grab Dimitri's charging device and escape. Another call from Jimmy provides Henry with a new rendezvous point. Following the instructions, Henry arrives at a peculiar establishment where the staff seems to anticipate his arrival. This time, a different version of Jimmy, appearing disheveled and tired, greets him. As Henry's systems start to fail, Jimmy struggles to repair him, but his impaired state proves ineffective. Suddenly, another Jimmy enters and efficiently completes the repairs. Amid the confusion, Jimmy admits that things may seem disjointed and suggests visiting the lab for clarity. Just then, a call warns them of approaching mercenaries. The geeky version of Jimmy departs, leaving behind the more wild version. He directs Henry to a drawer filled with weapons. Armed and ready, Henry dives into the ensuing fight, battling foes throughout the bustling establishment, much to the dismay of its patrons. Jimmy joins the fray, and two women, one armed with a gun and the other with a katana, also get involved. During the chaotic skirmish, Henry finally confronts Akin. Their intense clash ends with Akin using his mysterious powers to send Henry crashing into an underground area. More enemies arrive, but with Jimmy's assistance, they manage to defeat them. A new version of Jimmy, exuding a free-spirited demeanor, assists Henry in interrogating a captured enemy to discover Estelle's location. Two women from the earlier establishment, still furious over the disruption and seeking revenge against Akin, join their cause. Together, the four of them pursue Akin's convoy on motorcycles. As they close in, Henry employs a heavy weapon to disable one of the vehicles. The chase grows more intense, with Henry taking on additional vehicles, aided by a fearless woman on a motorcycle who ultimately loses her life in the effort. Now, only Akin's main truck remains. Henry breaks into it and confronts the captors, finding Estelle confined inside. Just as they are about to reunite, Akin interrupts with an odd comment about the unconventional use of baseball bats and balls in Russia. The ensuing confrontation results in Henry being thrown out of the vehicle. Henry awakens later in a forest, surrounded by mercenaries plotting his demise. In an unexpected twist, the hippie version of Jimmy and a companion come to his rescue. They work on reattaching Henry's dislodged eye and restoring his functionality, identifying a device that has been blocking his memory. As Henry regains consciousness, he watches the pair reach a moment of pure clarity and understanding.
Sit up.
Their peace is abruptly shattered as heavily armored mercenaries launch an attack, leading to the tragic deaths of the hippie duo. Fueled by determination, Henry breaches the armored vehicle, overpowering the adversaries using the sharp blade left behind by Jimmy's partner. His focus then shifts to an enemy aircraft. Sprinting toward it, he battles several foes attempting to board via a hanging line. A high-ranking enemy cuts his lifeline, sending Henry plummeting into a tree below. After this, Henry receives a fresh call from another Jimmy iteration, directing him to a new rendezvous point. Upon reaching the destination, a sharp and witty Jimmy greets him. This Jimmy guides Henry through an abandoned structure, lightening the journey with a humorous tale. They eventually arrive at a sophisticated lab, where the original Jimmy, now confined to a wheelchair, welcomes him.
We're all there to say.
Jimmy recounts his efforts in creating a force of elite warriors for Aiken, drawing parallels to a classic Van Damme film. He explains how he relocated to Russia and developed multiple versions of himself, all controlled by advanced technology. Their conversation takes a tuneful twist, but is abruptly interrupted by an urgent alert of an incoming video signal. Realizing the base is compromised, a skirmish erupts between Henry, Jimmy's various iterations, and the intruders. Amid the chaos, Jimmy momentarily loses his composure, overwhelmed by the unexpected attack. Henry's stern intervention helps Jimmy regain his focus. Reflecting on the situation, Jimmy expresses regret for trusting the mechanical toy that caused the breach. Given their dire circumstances, Henry and Jimmy form an uneasy alliance to fend off the approaching mercenaries, preparing to face the imminent threat together. Positioned at a strategic point atop the building, a sniper-themed Jimmy helps hold off the attackers. Despite their efforts, the enemy continues to gain ground. When the sniper variant is overrun, a more unhinged version of Jimmy storms in, dispatching foes in wild and unexpected ways, ultimately sacrificing himself in a dramatic kamikaze explosion to create a diversion. Amidst the turmoil, the primary Jimmy notices an impersonator preparing to escape. Together, Henry and Jimmy gear up for a grand exit, battling their way through the remaining adversaries using an array of weaponry. Just as they think they've made it, they are cornered by enemies at the base of the building. Acting decisively, a commanding avatar orders Henry back and triggers a massive explosion, burying adversaries under rubble. The duo flee the scene, but their escape is threatened by 3 pursuing vehicles. Utilizing an explosive device, firearms, and heavier artillery, they neutralize the pursuers. Their journey culminates at Aiken's central base, setting the stage for the ultimate confrontation. Advancing cautiously, they discover that Aiken's army setup is already in motion. As bullets fly toward them, Henry counters swiftly with his grenade launcher, ready for the showdown.
On your left.
In an elevator, Henry finds the primary Jimmy critically injured, a piece of metal embedded in his throat. The commanding figure informs Henry that his memory suppression device is now inactive, meaning his past will slowly return. As this avatar powers down, Jimmy shares a final moment of gratitude for their friendship before passing away. Undeterred, Henry advances to the upper levels, clearing foes with his trusty launcher. Upon accessing the main operations area, Henry is confronted by a display of his memories. A message from Aiken reveals his malevolent intent to use Henry's memories to shape his warriors' minds. Additionally, Aiken shows that each soldier begins their journey hearing the same lie from Estelle, who claims to be their wife and expresses her love. Facing a menacing enhanced cyborg, Henry struggles, but eventually overpowers the adversary, using its tech to upgrade himself. Just as he believes the battle is over, a swarm of robotic enemies closes in. Using every trick he knows and boosted by a dose of adrenaline, time seems to slow for Henry, giving him a fleeting advantage in the climactic confrontation. Despite his efforts, Aiken dominates, leaving Henry momentarily unconscious. When Henry wakes, he is met with a shocking betrayal. Estelle, believed to be his true love, is with Aiken. Mockery ensues as Aiken reveals his scheme to create countless soldiers, each deceived by a fake marriage. A vague flashback showcases a fatherly figure's encouragement to a young Henry, instilling resilience. Enraged, Henry rises to face Aiken on a helipad. A dramatic battle ensues, with Henry using sheer will to overcome Aiken's telekinetic defenses. Overpowering him, Henry deals a fatal blow, separating Aiken from his head using an improvised weapon. Boarding a helicopter, Henry confronts Estelle in disbelief. She questions his actions calmly, but Henry shows her Aiken's head in reply.
No!
As Estelle takes a shot at him, his mechanical defenses deflect the bullet, wounding her. As she dangles perilously from the chopper, she pleads for mercy. Henry seals her fate with a final gesture, ensuring she falls to her end. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our recap. Watch our next videos on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you on the next one.